If you are taking amlodipine, Losartan, or Lisinopril for blood pressure, stop for a moment, because what I'm about to share with you is something most people are never actually told, even after years of taking these medications every single day. And this is not about stopping your medication. This is about finally understanding what is happening inside your body in simple, clear language. Millions of adults over 50 are on at least one of these three medications. Some have been taking them for years, others just started recently after a routine checkup. And most of them were told the same thing. Take it once a day, watch your salt, and you're fine. But here's the problem. Blood pressure medication is not just a pill that lowers numbers. It is a powerful system that interacts with your kidneys, your blood vessels, your hormones, and even your daily habits like food, hydration, and painkillers. And when you don't fully understand that system, small things can quietly start adding up over time. That's why in today's video on Strong 50s, we are going to break everything down in a way that actually makes sense. No medical jargon, no confusion, just real-world understanding. By the end of this video, you will know how amlodipine, Losartan, and Lisinopril actually work inside your body, the common effects many people mistake for normal aging, important interactions with food and painkillers, and one timing factor that researchers have been actively studying for years. And stay with me till the end, because there is one detail about blood pressure patterns during the day that surprises almost everyone when they hear it for the first time. Now, before we go deeper, let me ask you something simple. If you are currently taking any blood pressure medication, which one is it? Amlodipine, Losartan, or Lisinopril? You can write it in the comments. I read them, and it helps build a real community here on Strong 50s, where we all learn from each other. And if you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because every week we break down important health topics in a way that is simple, calm, and actually useful for everyday life after 50. Now let's start with the big picture first. Before we talk about the three medications, we need to understand something very important. High blood pressure is not caused by just one thing. It is usually a combination of changes that happen slowly over time inside the body. Think of your blood vessels like a long network of flexible pipes. When you are younger, those pipes are soft, elastic, and responsive. They expand and relax easily as your heart pumps blood. But as we age, especially after 50, three major changes start happening. First, the blood vessels slowly become stiffer. They don't stretch as easily as they used to. Second, certain hormones that control pressure inside the body can become overactive. These hormones tell the body to tighten blood vessels and hold on to salt and water. And third, the tiny muscle cells inside blood vessels can become more sensitive to calcium, causing them to stay slightly more contracted than they should. Now here's the important part. Each of the three medications we are talking about today targets one of these problems. That's why doctors often choose different combinations depending on the person. So instead of thinking of these medications as just blood pressure pills, it is more accurate to think of them as tools that act on different parts of the same system. And once you understand that system, everything else becomes much clearer. Now let's move into the next two medications, Losartan and Lisinopril, because this is where things start to become even more important for understanding how blood pressure is actually controlled inside your body. Let's start with Losartan. Losartan belongs to a group of medications called ARBs, which stands for angiotensin receptor blockers. Now that sounds complicated, but here's the simple idea. Inside your body, there is a hormone system that works like a pressure control switch. When this system becomes overactive, it tells your blood vessels to tighten and tells your kidneys to hold on to salt and water. Both of these actions increase blood pressure. Losartan works by blocking the signal from this hormone. So instead of your blood vessels constantly receiving a tighten up message, that signal gets blocked. As a result, your blood vessels relax and your body is less likely to hold on to extra fluid. This helps bring blood pressure down in a more balanced way. Now here is something very important that many people are never told. Because Losartan affects how your kidneys handle salt and water, it can also affect potassium levels in your body. For most people, this is not a problem. But in some adults over 50, especially those with age-related changes in kidney function, potassium can slowly build up. And the tricky part is, You don't always feel this happening right away. Sometimes the early signs are very subtle, like mild fatigue, muscle weakness, or a slightly irregular heartbeat feeling. This is why doctors sometimes monitor blood work when someone is on this medication long term. Another important point is painkillers. Common over-the-counter painkillers like ibuprofen and similar anti-inflammatory drugs can interfere with how losartan works in the body. They can reduce its effectiveness and in some cases also affect kidney function when used frequently. This does not mean you can never use them, but it does mean they should be used carefully and discussed with your doctor if you rely on them often. Now let's move to lisinopril. Lisinopril is in a different class of medication called ACE inhibitors. Instead of blocking a receptor like losartan, it works one step earlier in the process. It reduces the production of the hormone that causes blood vessels to tighten in the first place. So the end result is similar. Blood vessels relax, pressure goes down, but the pathway it uses is slightly different. Now here is one of the most well-known but least clearly explained side effects of lisinopril. Some people develop a persistent dry cough. Not a cold cough, not mucus, just a dry, irritating cough that doesn't seem to go away. This happens because of how the medication affects certain natural compounds in the lungs. And interestingly, this is one of the main reasons doctors sometimes switch patients from lisinopril to losartan. Because losartan works through a different pathway, the cough usually disappears when the switch is made. Another important similarity with losartan is potassium balance. Lisinopril can also cause potassium levels to rise in some people, especially when kidney function changes with age. So again, monitoring and awareness matter. Not fear, just understanding. Now here is something most people completely miss. Both losartan and lisinopril do not just lower blood pressure temporarily, they also influence how your kidneys regulate fluid balance over time. That's why hydration, salt intake, and even medications like painkillers can change how your body responds to them. This is also why two people on the same medication can have very different experiences. One person may feel completely normal. Another may feel dizzy when standing quickly or notice changes in energy levels. It is not that one medication is good or bad. It is that every body responds differently based on its condition and age. Now, before we move into the final part of this video, I want you to pause and think about something. Most people taking these medications are only told what to take and when to take it, but very few are actually told how these medications behave inside the body over time. And that understanding is what changes how safely and effectively you can manage your health. Next, we will connect all three medications together and look at something very important about blood pressure patterns throughout the day, including a timing insight that researchers have studied closely and what it could mean for you. Now let's bring everything together and talk about something that connects all three medications in a very important way. Blood pressure is not constant throughout the day. It follows a natural rhythm inside your body. For most people, blood pressure is lower at night while sleeping, and then it rises in the early morning hours as the body prepares to wake up. This is known as the morning blood pressure surge. During this time, your body releases hormones that increase alertness, raise heart rate, and tighten blood vessels slightly so you can become active. But here is the important part. This surge is also the time when the risk of heart attack and stroke is naturally higher compared to other times of the day. Not because something suddenly goes wrong, but because the body is under higher cardiovascular pressure during that transition from sleep to wakefulness. Now here is where timing becomes interesting. Most people take their blood pressure medication in the morning. That means the medication is often taken at a time when blood pressure is already rising. And depending on the medication, it may take some time before it reaches its full effect in the body. This has led researchers to study whether timing could influence how well blood pressure is controlled across a full 24-hour cycle. One major long-term study followed thousands of patients over several years and compared morning dosing versus bedtime dosing of blood pressure medication. The findings suggested that people who took their medication at night had better overnight blood pressure control and in some cases lower rates of cardiovascular events. However, this is still an area of ongoing research. Different studies have shown different levels of benefit, and medical experts do not all agree on a universal rule for timing. What this means in simple terms is this: medication timing may matter, but it is not one size fits all. Some people may benefit from morning dosing, others may benefit from evening dosing. And for many people, the most important factor is simply taking the medication consistently every day. This is something you should always discuss with your doctor, especially if you experience dizziness in the morning, low energy, or sudden drops in blood pressure when standing up. Now let's quickly summarize everything we learned. Amlodipine mainly works by relaxing blood vessels. Losartan works by blocking hormone signals that tighten blood vessels and control fluid balance. Lisinopril works earlier in the same hormone system to reduce the production of those tightening signals. All three help lower blood pressure, but they do it in different ways inside the body. And because of that, they also come with different considerations around hydration, kidney function, potassium levels, and interactions with common medications like painkillers. Understanding this is not about fear, it is about awareness. Because when you understand how something works, you are in a much better position to manage it safely. Now let me bring this home for you. If you are watching this and taking any of these medications, I want you to know something important. You are not just a prescription number. You are someone actively managing your health every single day, and that matters. And if this video helped you understand even one thing more clearly than before, then you are already taking a stronger role in your own health than most people ever do. This is exactly what we believe in here at Strong 50s. Simple explanations, real understanding, and helping you feel more in control of your health decisions. If you found this helpful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Strong 50s. And I would really like to hear from you in the comments. Tell me your age and where you are watching from. It helps build this community of people over 50 who are learning, sharing, and supporting each other. And if you know someone who is taking amlodipine, Losartan, or Lisinopril, share this video with them. It might help them understand something they were never told before. Thank you for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.